So welcome to this press conference, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical problems, but now we are in the room, and I hope everybody can hear us and is well connected. Welcome again. Let's start smoothly because of the delay. The call for an UN Convention on Marine Litter and Plastic Pollution is bringing us together today, and mainly 4 states pushing that call. There's Ecuador, Ghana, Germany, and Vietnam, and government representatives from those 4 countries are now here on the press conference in order to line out some details to their initiative. The co-convener just presented their idea among the other UNEA member states just before the press conference, and there were around 100 supporters. And ministers here and the state secretary, they will just line out what happened and give more details about this convention. Who is giving us more information? I welcome Marcelo Mata. He is the Ecuadorian Minister for the Environment. Hello, Mr. Mata. There is Kouakou Afria with us, the Ghanaian Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Welcome. There is Joachim Flassbart, State Secretary at the German Ministry for the Environment. And there is Ta Dinh Thi, Director General for the Vietnam Administration of Seas and Islands. He is on behalf of the Vietnamese Ministry for Natural Resources here with us. And there is Susan Gardner, Director Ecosystems Division UNEP. So we start now with the statements, ladies and gentlemen, and then there is a short Q&A for all present media. I know there are also some observers here. Very welcome, very good to have you here, but the floor is open for questions of media only. Let's start with Mr. Mata from Ecuador. You have the floor. Mr. Mata, please, you.
Okay. As I was pleased to share in the intervention of this discussion panel, Ecuador has been part of a series of international, regional, and national processes, frameworks, and initiatives to combat marine plastic pollution. However, these efforts has properly coordinated with the global action with other countries. I would like to highlight the negative impact of marine plastics pollution of vulnerable ecosystems of particular value, such as ecologically and biologically significant marine areas, such as the marine waters surround the Galapagos Islands, where despite having a low waste generation rate, they have had huge amount of marine which comes from other regions and countries. More broadly, we also consider it essential to understand that the negative impacts of marine litter pollution affecting our present and that of the future generations. Human health, social, and well-being of communities can be affected by the presence of microplastics and marine plastic pollution. For all of the above, in the order to prevent marine plastics pollution, especially in the marine environment, Ecuador considers that it's necessary a global legal instrument to regulate, to promote the management of the plastic in their entire life cycle, from the production, design, marketing, and transport, discarding, and waste management. This future instrument should be based on existing regional and global agreements and complemented by rules to ensure the prevention, reduction, mitigation of plastic pollution and its harmful effects of the environment. Health and well-being being including a circular economy and zero waste system, and with sufficient necessary technical and financial support for development countries for progressive implementation. To achieve this, we need to adopt a common global vision with quantitative reduction targets at the global and national levels, technical and financial support to develop the research and development of the new technologies and the engagement of different actors who can contribute positive to this problem. In addition, we must have committed international and regional cooperative of the development of scientific knowledge, where all relevant actors are participants in the actions and contribute positively to the solutions to the problem. That is why we have made this call to the international community to participate in the next ministerial conference towards the adoption of a global agreement of marine pollutions, which would open up the opportunity to discuss the next steps in global governance, while promoting the establishment on an international neo-geoscience committee, and will guide us to adoption of a historic new Convention Pacific of Pollution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mata, and I give the floor now to Mr. Kwaku Afriyie, the Ghanaian Minister for Environment. Please, you have the floor, Mr. Afriyie.
My name is Oliver Boachi, and the minister had to jump off to another meeting, so I'm standing in for him, to just give a brief comment. Now, today, there is no global treaty or legal framework in place to regulate marine litter and plastic pollution. There are no obligations on nations to control them, and there are no global standards or regulations for guidance and enforcement. There are no recommended practices and procedures for preventing them, and there's no dedicated body in place to provide the scientific approaches for the national efforts. Most importantly, there are no financial mechanisms for supporting states in their efforts to meet their obligations. If we are to succeed in turning the tide, there is a need to change, and that change is the global agreement on marine litter and plastic pollution. This is not to deny the fact that the world recognizes marine litter and plastic pollution as perhaps the most pressing challenges that are facing mankind today. Indeed, there are numerous initiatives around the world by well-meaning global, regional, and national organizations whose aims are to address the challenges that marine litter and plastic pollution pose to the world and its people. The United Nations Environment Programme, UNEP, the G7, G20, and the World Economic Forum are all examples of global organizations who are leading the effort to tackle the problem of marine litter and plastic pollution. At the regional level, many organizations such as the African Ministerial Conference on Environment, that's AMCEN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, and the Permanent Commission for the South Pacific are making exemplary efforts to fight against marine litter. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation, the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, and many others are all non-profit organizations that are committed enormous resources to help nations, organizations, and individuals to tackle the plastics menace. And at the national level, many countries are taking bold initiatives to address the same problems. It is clear that enormous amounts of resources are being expended through the generosity of these organizations. What is missing are the common focus, cooperation, coordination, and efficiency, and what is obvious at the duplication of efforts and the ineffective use of these resources. This agreement that we are all clamoring for must bring all these great actors and joint nations under one umbrella to build consensus on the approaches that we need to use to address these issues. The agreement must build a global team that is resourcefully equipped to meet the challenges of marine litter and plastic pollution head on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oliver Bochi, for representing your minister. And now we pass over to Jochen Flassbart, State Secretary at the German Ministry for Environment. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you, and here in Europe, good afternoon to everybody. The world has a huge problem, and this problem is very obvious already. Looking from the satellite perspective, one can see a huge garbage patch in the Pacific. And this garbage patch is such an obvious signal that we need to act. And for Germany, fighting against marine litter is an important issue for quite a while already. We have put it on the agenda of the G7 under our presidency in 2015. Again, we put it on the agenda of the G20 in 2017. And we are of the view that this is now time to act, to create a global agreement to fight marine litter and plastic pollution. Already at the last UNEA, we dealt with the issue as well in 2019 in Nairobi, and Susan Gardner is with us here. We, from the German side, had hoped already at that time to get a mandate to negotiate a global agreement against marine litter and plastic pollution. We didn't have the momentum, obviously, the political momentum at that time in 2019 in Nairobi. So I invited and announced to invite for a group of like-minded countries to better prepare for the next UNEA, a group of those countries who share the view that we should on a global level, organized between countries, based on a framework, based on a global agreement to fight against marine litter. We had a couple, together with Norway, we had a couple of very, very successful, encouraging meetings. And now we are very happy that we are teaming with Ghana, with Ecuador and Vietnam, to create another political momentum. We will jointly invite for a ministerial conference in the third quarter of this year to prepare for UNEA 5.2 in February 2022. And we have a very clear perspective. We want to get a decision by UNEA 5.2 to establish a negotiation committee for a global agreement. And the target for us is also very clear. The long-term target is to get zero plastic littering of our oceans. It's a long way to go, but we need to start. We believe we need to start now. Thank you.
I tied up.
Thank you, Mr. Flassbart. Now we pass over to Vietnam, to Mr. Ta Dinh Thi. And just a short hint for all journalists, if you already have questions, you can also put it in the Q&A channel on Zoom so that I can already read them and prepare them for the Q&A here in the room. Mr. Ta Dinh Thi, please, it's your floor. Just another request to Vietnam. You can take the microphone and start. Please feel free to speak.
Promise is promise.
Okay, then we just go over to Susan Gardner. Maybe we will integrate Vietnam then afterwards. We just go on with Susan Gardner from UNEP, please. you have the floor.
Oh, thank you. You know, marine litter and plastic pollution have long been in the global spotlight. There's now more than 120 countries that have legislation in place to regulate or ban the use of single-use plastics. It's extraordinary progress. As of January 1st of this year, we have the new annex under the Basel Convention that came into effect and places strict controls on international shipments of most plastic waste. And we're seeing on the business side, over 100 companies that use, produce, recycle large volumes of plastic packaging are working together to phase out the worst categories of these. And they're doing this under, for example, the New Plastics Economy Commitment, which UNEP is proud to be a partner with the Ellen MacArthur Foundations. Others before me have mentioned this as well. But we do know that the plastic problem is still out of control. About 90% of seabirds have plastic in their gut. Plastic is so ubiquitous that scientists have suggested it could become a geological indicator of the Anthropocene era. I mean, it's extraordinary. And the cost of the negative externalities generated by plastic packaging is estimated to be about $40 billion annually. And that's in addition, we have, of course, the COVID-19 related plastic waste that's compounding the problem, with a boom in single-use masks and all kinds of plastic packaging that is coming from things like takeout meals and grocery deliveries that are new ways to adapt to our reality. The World Health Organization estimates that we need 89 million medical masks each month. In the absence of a clear waste management guideline and approach, this is just piling up with more waste. So we know that we need to do a lot more than just cutting out straws and keeping plastic bags out of the economy. These are very worthy efforts, of course, but we also need to adapt circular models that keep plastic circulating in the economy, not in the ocean currents. We need to have all kinds of government and industry commitments that are stronger than they are currently. Every year of delay is increasing action. Every year of delay that we have in action means that we have millions of tons more of extra plastic in the ocean. And this means we need to push harder over the next year. This is a great opportunity with the ministerial conference. We also have the UN Decades on Ocean Science for Sustainable Development and the Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. We have the resumed session of the UN Environment Assembly coming up, and we have existing initiatives through things like the UN-hosted Global Partnership on Marine Litter. We know that we need to support national and regional efforts to continue with global collaboration to galvanize ambition and political will, to stimulate innovation from the private sector and to unlock large-scale finance. Tackling plastic pollution can quickly bring a huge relief to the planet, particularly to the oceans and its wildlife. And it will demonstrate once again that humanity is capable of banding together to resolve a major threat and leave the planet better for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gardner. She is Director of the Ecosystems Division from UNEP. Now I make another try for our colleagues in Vietnam, and I heard it's An Du Lu who is representing Vietnam. Please, Mr. Lu, can you hear us and can you start to speak? Please, the floor is yours. Okay, then maybe there's a technical problem.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, Mr. Dugan has just had to attend another sudden meeting, so he has assigned me to speak on his date. Yes.
Okay, then.
Yes. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes, Vietnam actually recognized the role in addressing the global plastic debris crisis. And actually, we have made great efforts in committing to strong action to reduce plastic debris in order to protect marine and ocean ecology and environment. As you've seen, we've joined the 127 countries that passed UN Environment Council resolution on the UNEP on plastic debris and marine microplastic. We've joined such as G7 summit held in Canada, and our PM pledged to act and call for global cooperation in solving the problem of marine plastic debris. We also have other strategies for sustainable development in Vietnam marine economy by 2030, with visions up to 2045, which target the preventing and controlling of reducing pollutions of marine environment. And Vietnam set to be pioneer in the region in reducing marine plastic debris. And we have such as the National Movement Against Plastic Waste, or the Directive on Strengthening the Management of Marine Plastic Debris, as well as the the decisions on promulgating the list of scrap permitted to be imported from abroad as raw production material. So last but not least, we're currently implementing projects that Vietnam would proactively participating in the negotiation of a global treaty on marine plastic debris. And we hope that we can support and willing to participate in the discussion. We jointly develop the agreement, and on the basis of respect for international law within the framework of the United Nations for Blue Ocean, Renaissance, peace, stability, and prosperity. Yeah. Thank you from Vietnam.
Thank you very much for representing Vietnam here so spontaneously. Thank you. We now start with the media questions, and I have already some here. Let's start because we have to hurry really with the time. It's Aline Schart from Politico, who has the floor now. Alina, do you want to put your question here live, or shall I just read it out? Okay, I don't see you, I read it out. Many countries have already said that they are in favor of launching a global treaty, but so far the US and China, oh no, the question's gone here. Okay, someone deleted the question, sorry.
Sorry, Stefan, you can read it on the box there. Many countries have already said it's on the second panel there.
I take another question, sorry. It's Andreas Hönig from DPA Germany. Mr. Flassbart, what are the chances to success to get a global agreement as soon as possible? What are the main challenges? Could you please answer also in German, he asks.
Yes, I start in English, and I will combine it with trying also to answer the first question that was not complete, but I guess I understood what the question was. And it's a bit in the direction of Mr. Hönig. I mean, we are not yet at the beginning. We will be at the beginning of a negotiation process if we get a mandate at UNEA 5.2. We are fighting for that. We are liaising with many countries, and I'm very optimistic that we will get this mandate. Of course, it will take a while, but we are in a situation of urgency. I lined it out, and my co-speakers did as well. The science is obvious that the pollution is heavily attacking our ocean ecosystems. So we need to speed up, and we hope that we already at UNEA 6 we will be able to look at the progress that is made, and that we can get into the concrete adoption of a global legally binding agreement. And to the question of China and the US, we will see. We are in constant consultations also with these very important two big countries, and we are very optimistic that both countries will at the end be positive also on giving a mandate for the negotiation process.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry to the others. I just do it in brief in German. Herr Hönig, wir werden erst bei UNEA 5.2, also im Februar, wissen, ob wir ein Mandat bekommen. Ich bin sehr optimistisch, dass wir eines bekommen, weil wir sehr viel Rückenwind verspüren. Wir kriegen Unterstützung von vielen Ländern und Sie sehen ja hier, dass wir mit Vietnam, Ghana und Ecuador aus unterschiedlichen Weltregionen jetzt hier auch in die Führung gehen, um den Prozess mit einem politischen Momentum zu versehen. Wir sind deshalb zuversichtlich, dass wir bei UNEA 5.2 ein Mandat bekommen und hoffen, dass wir dann einen sehr schnellen Diskussions- und Verhandlungsprozess bekommen, um dann schon bei UNEA 6 Entscheidungen treffen zu können.
Thank you very much for the answers. And I hope, Aline Shah from Politico, this was the right answer. That was the right topic Mr. Schlaspert was lining out. Otherwise, I ask you to put your question again in the chat. Sorry, it's some technical problem that it was deleted. Another questions in live. Anybody of the media represents want to put a question now on Zoom directly? Then, okay. This was the question again from Aline Shah. I think, yes, Aline says, thank you very much. Okay, great. Then I have here another question. Can you please provide information on the format of the ministerial conference and its objectives?
Okay, so the four countries decided to reach out to the whole international community. So all countries are invited to participate in the ministerial conference. We do not yet know exactly the format because we are still in most countries of the world in the middle of the pandemic. We are planning at least a hybrid format, no, sorry, it's the other way around, at least a virtual format and if possible a hybrid one.
Are there any other questions from media side? Please then now. There's a question I see. What are the chances of success to get a global agreement as soon as possible? What are the main challenges? This is what we had already answered, I guess. It was the same question as Mr. Andreas Hönig from DPA asked for. What is a realistic aim for implementing such a legislation? A question to Mr. Schlaspert. What is the realistic aim to implementing such a legislation?
Well, I would also like to invite my colleagues so that I don't monopolize the answers. In my view, it very much depends on the negotiation process and what core areas for a global agreement we can identify. It's very obvious that we will not find a one size fits all instrument, so we have to be differentiated. The situation in different countries are different. We have countries with very scrutinized waste management and also circular economy system. We have other countries who are not as advanced. The implementation or the success of implementation will very much depend on our ability to find the right instruments for different countries in their respective situations. But maybe Stefan Hofer, also other ministers want to answer.
Yes, please. Mr. Mata, do you want to add, or our colleagues from Vietnam or Ghana, please, do you want to add any comments to the questions?
Well, this is Oliver watching from Ghana once again. And just to add to what my colleagues have already said, we recognize the enormous challenge that we are going to face in trying to accomplish this objective of a global conference. And so being mindful of that, what we are doing is that between now and the time that the conference is actually held, we are going to organize a series of workshops to which we are going to invite stakeholders from all countries, and also organizations that are also committed to having a unified front in dealing with this plastic menace. We believe that it is going to be based on negotiations and objectives that address the concerns of as many of the stakeholders as possible. And we believe that if you're able to bring all of them together, and then with an open mind and listening ears, look at what everybody is thinking, by the time we get to the conference in September, we would have achieved enough consensus, and we would have achieved a lot of concerns that we are going to then sit together at the conference to try to address. And we are very hopeful that by the time the conference is over in September, we will be several steps towards achieving this global agreement. Thank you.
Susan, you would like to add?
Well, I think that the point that Ghana just made is critical in terms of listening to each other. There's not a lot of time between now and UNEA 5.2 next February. And so this ministerial conference provides this phenomenal opportunity to really understand the whole range of views that are out there of the different member states, to be able to really hear one another and find that commonality with time to begin to understand better areas where maybe that shared vision hasn't been set yet. UNEA, when we get to UNEA, the opportunity to set the global ambition to really understand what the goal statement will be and how to create the pace and the targets to ensure that whatever actions are considered will have the real impact that's desired. So there's a lot of work to do between now and UNEA 5.2 next year. But this conference is a great opportunity to begin to push forward with that kind of ambition.
Okay, thank you very much, Susan Gardner. I think then we have all questions that I can see here answered on. And then I say thank you very much for this press conference. Thank you very much for all the engagement and comments and questions. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you to my colleagues, and bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you to all. Goodbye.